All right, here we go. Lesson 3 notes. Full screen here. Let's get rid of this. All right, lesson 3 notes. First thing we've got is a warm up here. Now, this covers stuff from lesson 1. That's finding the domain and range of f of x. Oh, that's nice. I got the little spinny circle here to show you exactly what I'm pointing at. Lesson 1 here was finding the domain and range of f of x. And then stuff from lesson 2, evaluating a function. So what I want you to do is go ahead and pause this video right now and see if you can do this warm up on your own. This is a little checkup to see how well you're doing. So pause the video now, go ahead and do the warm up. Then once you're done, unpause it and go ahead and see the answers. All right, here are the answers to that. Now, one thing, I'm going to make one quick change here because I don't like the way that they write domain and range. That's not the way we've been writing it. We've been doing it with an interval. So instead of that, we're going to write our domain here. It said x is less than or equal to 5. So every number less than or equal to 5. So from negative infinity all the way up to 5 in our range. Well, y is greater than negative 3, so every number greater than negative 3, so that means starting at negative 3, but not including it, right? Oh, no, we are including it, my bad, including it, so we want to have the bracket and going up to infinity. So that's how we want to write our domain and range. If you're still checking your answers, go ahead and pause the video because I'm going on here. Hopefully, I'm going on. Maybe I need to clear the ink. Clear the ink, turn it off. All right, here we go. Evaluating functions. Evaluating functions. Okay, this is more review of lesson 2 right here. So we've got f of 10 minus 2. So let's just, what is this inside equivalent to? 10 minus 2 is the same as 8. So this thing is the same as f of 8, which we go over here and look in our chart. 8 goes to 3, so f of 8 is 3. All right, let's use that same idea here on the second one. F of square root of 16. Well, square root of 16 is 4, so that becomes f of 4, and then we use our chart, f of 4, the output is 0. All right, one last one over this idea. 7 over 14, well, that's the same as 1/2, so this is f of 1/2, or 0.5, and f of 0.5 is -2. All right, moving right along. Simplify the input first. Write this note down there. It's important. The input is the thing here inside of the function, the thing we're putting into the function here. We want to simplify the input first when we're working with these complex functions. We're going to be calling them composite functions here in a minute because we're going to compose multiple functions together. But always simplify the input first. Okay, evaluating composite functions here. We have f of g of 9. So we want to simplify the input first. What's the input here? We have f of what? Well, g of 9, we look up here, g of 9 is -1. So we simplify that input, g of 9 becomes -1, and then f of -1, we look over here at our chart on the left-hand side, f of -1 is -4. There we go. Oh, I'll go, I don't know, there we go. I'll step back for 1 second just in case you didn't get that yet. F of -1 is -4. All right, going on now. F of g of 15. Well, g of 15, let's do that part first. Remember, simplify the inside first. G of 15 is 0. So let's take that 0. Now that goes in place of g of 15. So what is f of 0? F of 0 is 5. So we have to use both of our functions here, and we have to do it in the correct order, always starting with the inside. All right, f of g of -4. Hopefully you're getting the pattern here. Simplify the inside first, so this becomes f of 8. We get the 8 because g of -4 is 8, and f of 8, oh, that's not over here. We don't have 8 as an input. Do you remember what we put when we don't have enough information here? We put cannot be determined. It cannot be determined from our information. All right, going right along. G of f of -1. Okay, things are a little different this time. We're doing g of, and f of -1 is our inside. So f of -1 here gives us -4. So we simplify that inside first, and now we're doing g of -4. So we look over to our function g, and g of -4 is 8. All right, so the order is important here. The order was important. In a composite function, go ahead and write this down. In a composite function, evaluate the input first. So that means if there's anything on the inside, deal with that part first. Work from the inside out. Okay, let's go right on to the next part. All right, we can do the same thing with a graph, f of g of 2. So first we're going to want to do g of 2. So just like in the last section when we were evaluating functions, we go over to where x equals 2, and we figure out where that hits the function g. So that's all the way down there at -2. So that goes in place of g of 2. So now we're doing f of -2. So we draw a new line here where x is -2. And then we're going to go ahead and figure out where that hits the f function now. Now we're doing f of -2. So that hits all the way down at an output value of -4. So our final answer there is -4. Okay, g of f of -5. So evaluate the inside first, f of -5. So we've got to worry about that inside. F of -5, so we go over to where x is -5. We look at where that intersects our f of x function, and that's all the way up at 5. So we get that value, and we substitute that in for f of -5. Now we do g of 5. So we draw ourselves a new line here over at 5, x value of 5, and g of 5 is 1. So that's our final answer. G of f of -5 is 1. Okay, here we go. Now we can do the same thing with two actually given functions. We can do it algebraically. So f of g of 2. So f of what? I don't know. G of 2. Let's figure that out first. Let's work with the inside first. So g of 2, do the inside first. G of 2 means we need to plug in 2 into this function up here, into g of x. Plug in 2 for this x and for this x. For every x that you see in there, we have to plug in 2. So we leave space right there. This idea of rewriting it and leaving space wherever there's every x, that's going to be helpful for us as we go along. So you might want to do that. And then we plug in 2. Now, order of operations here. Do I do the exponent first, 2 squared, or do I multiply first, 3 times 2? Well, the order of operations says parentheses, exponents, multiplication. So I have to do the exponent first. So I'm going to get 3 times 4 minus 2. And then I go ahead and multiply and subtract, and I get 12 minus 2 is 10. So think, all we've done right now is g of 2, and we've gotten 10. So what are we going to do with this 10 now? Well, we're going to take the 10, and we're going to put it in place of g of 2. So now we're doing f of 10. So what do you think we're going to do with this 10? Yep, we're going to take this 10, and we're going to plug it in for every x in the f function. So rewrite the f function, leaving a set of parentheses, space here, for wherever there was an x. We put the 10 in, and then we go ahead and just do the math. -2 times 10 is -20, plus 1 gives us -19. All right, let's do another one of these. Oh, let's show the answer down at the bottom. And how you say that is f of g of 2 is -19. Okay, one more. G of f of -3. Okay, so that's g of something. F of -3, let's do that part first. So f of -3, we're using our function f. We're going to rewrite it with space here to plug in the number -3 for every x. We plug in -3, then we do the math. We get 6 plus 1, we get 7. F of -3 is 7. So we're going to plug that in place of f of -3. There goes the 7. So now we're doing g of 7. g of 7, we rewrite g. Once again, we leave space in both places to plug in for x. Okay, so we plug in 7 for both of those. Now, once again, we got the order of operations right here. We got to square this 7 before we multiply by 3. So we square it, we get 3 times 49 minus 7. And when you simplify that, you get 140. So the answer is g of f of negative 3 is 140. All right, here's some for you to try. Go ahead and pause the video right now and try these. And when you unpause the video, I'm going to show the answers. All right, we're back. You've hopefully just unpaused the video. Here are the answers to those. If you didn't get those, go back through the video and make sure, go back through your work first, see if you can catch your error. If not, go back through the video and pay attention. Watch it a second time. And if you're still stuck, you need to come in and ask me for help. All right, now, that's the end. Go ahead and go on and do the work that's included. The answer key is on my website, right where you got to the link to this video. So once you're done, go ahead and check your work using the answer key on my website.